What if the most valuable coin you'll ever own is sitting in a forgotten jar, buried in a drawer, or hiding among a handful of loose change you nearly spent on a cup of coffee? Every day, millions of Americans unknowingly pass rare coins across counters, drop them into vending machines, or cash them in without a second thought. And among those overlooked pieces of pocket change, one coin has become the subject of fascination, mystery, and staggering auction headlines: the 1964 Lincoln cent. La Coins World. Imagine this. Two people receive the exact same coin in change. One person spends it without even looking. The other pauses for a moment, notices something unusual, and decides to keep it. Years later, that simple decision could mean the difference between losing a fortune and discovering a hidden treasure. That's the divide between the spender and the collector. One sees a penny, the other sees possibility. And here's the shocking part: certain rare examples connected to the 1964 Lincoln cent have generated enormous excitement among collectors because of unusual minting characteristics, dramatic rare varieties, and their extreme scarcity in top condition. Some extraordinary Lincoln cent rarities have commanded astonishing prices, leading many collectors to examine every 1964 coin they encounter with renewed interest. Before you dismiss this as another coin story, take a quick mental inventory. Do you have an old coin jar somewhere in your house, a forgotten piggy bank, a box of family keepsakes in the attic? You might want to remember where it is, because what you're about to learn has sent collectors searching through decades of accumulated pocket change. The year was 1964. America was changing rapidly. The nation was experiencing economic growth, technological advancement, and cultural transformation. At the Denver Mint, billions of Lincoln cents were struck to meet the growing demand for circulating coinage. At first glance, there seemed to be nothing extraordinary about these pennies. They featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar read-free reverse design that had become standard by that era. Because so many 1964 cents were produced, most people assume they can never be valuable. That assumption is exactly why some rare examples continue to escape detection. In the world of numismatics, rarity isn't always about low mintage numbers. Sometimes it's about unusual production circumstances, overlooked minting anomalies, or exceptionally preserved examples that survived against overwhelming odds. Now here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. Certain 1964 Lincoln cents exhibit unusual characteristics that have captivated specialists for decades. Among the most sought-after are dramatic die errors, repunched mint marks, die cracks, die breaks, off-center strikes, and examples showing evidence of significant striking anomalies. While many errors are minor and add little value, a small number become legendary because of their rarity and visual impact. Collectors often search for unusual doubling in lettering, abnormalities around the date, and irregularities near the Denver Mint mark. Under magnification, subtle details can transform an ordinary-looking cent into an object of intense interest. These tiny imperfections are not signs of damage. Instead, they are fingerprints of the minting process itself. Think about that for a moment. The very flaw that most people would overlook could be the reason a collector is willing to pay thousands of dollars. Attention reset. If you're watching this while sitting at home, ask yourself a simple question. When was the last time you actually examined the pennies in your possession? Not counted them, not spent them, examined them. Most people never do. That's precisely why discoveries continue to happen. The journey of a coin from mint to marketplace is filled with opportunities for unusual events. A worn die may strike coins differently. Mechanical issues can create anomalies. Human oversight can allow rare varieties to enter circulation unnoticed. Once these coins scatter across the country, they effectively become ghosts, hidden in plain sight, existing everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Collectors often refer to certain elusive varieties as market ghosts because they appear so infrequently that years can pass between significant public sales. When one finally emerges, competition intensifies rapidly. But rarity alone isn't enough. Condition plays an enormous role in determining value. A common coin in poor condition may remain common forever. A rare coin preserved in extraordinary condition becomes something entirely different. For the finest surviving examples, the combination of rarity and preservation creates a perfect storm of demand. Picture a coin struck in 1964. It somehow avoids excessive wear. It escapes scratches, corrosion, and environmental damage. Decades pass, most of its counterparts disappear into circulation, but this coin remains remarkably pristine. By the time collectors encounter it, it has become an accidental survivor. These are the coins that ignite bidding wars. Now here's another attention reset. Take a second and imagine the absurdity of explaining to someone that a single penny could be worth more than a luxury home in certain parts of America. It sounds ridiculous, yet the rare coin market has repeatedly demonstrated that extraordinary collectibles can achieve extraordinary prices. And that's where market psychology enters the picture. The rare coin market is driven by scarcity, competition, historical significance, and collector demand. When a highly desirable coin appears at auction, buyers aren't simply purchasing metal, they're competing for ownership of something that may not become available again for years. That competitive pressure can produce remarkable results. Over time, stories of record-breaking coin sales have fueled a nationwide treasure hunt. Collectors search bankrolls, estate sales, inherited collections, old jars of change. The possibility of finding a valuable rarity creates an irresistible combination of excitement and hope. But there is also fear. The fear of overlooking something valuable. The fear that a rare coin was accidentally spent years ago. The fear that hidden wealth might be sitting unnoticed within arm's reach. And those fears aren't entirely irrational. Many valuable coins have been discovered only because someone decided to take a closer look. The growing popularity of online auctions, grading services, and collector communities has accelerated this phenomenon. Information spreads faster than ever, and newly publicized variety can suddenly become the focus of national attention. As awareness increases, demand often follows. This creates urgency, because every year, more collectors enter the market searching for the same elusive pieces. More competition means fewer opportunities. More awareness means fewer undiscovered examples. And that brings us to the numbers everyone wants to know. Could a 1964 Lincoln cent actually be worth life-changing money? The answer depends entirely on the specific coin, its condition, authenticity, and any unusual characteristics it may possess. While ordinary examples remain common, exceptional pieces connected to rare errors, unique varieties, or extraordinary preservation can command dramatically higher values than their face value would suggest. Stories of six-figure and even higher valuations associated with elite coin rarities continue to capture headlines and inspire collectors nationwide. Such figures represent the highest end of the market and typically involve extraordinarily rare circumstances, but they demonstrate how powerful rarity can become when combined with collector demand. Imagine finding something worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in a collection everyone else ignored. That's the dream, and for a handful of lucky individuals, that dream has become reality. Attention reset. Before you continue with your day, consider this challenge. Find 5 pennies. Any 5 pennies. Look at the dates. Look at the mint marks. Spend 2 minutes examining them. 2 minutes. That's less time than most people spend scrolling through social media. Yet those 2 minutes could spark a hobby, a discovery, or even a deeper appreciation for the history hiding in your pocket. The beauty of coin collecting is that it transforms ordinary objects into stories. Every coin has traveled through countless hands. Every mark tells part of its journey. Every rare variety reminds us that mistakes, accidents, and chance events can create something unexpectedly valuable. The 1964 Lincoln cent stands as a perfect example of that reality, produced in enormous numbers, yet capable of generating extraordinary interest when the right combination of rarity, error characteristics, and condition comes together. For collectors, it represents possibility. For investors, it represents opportunity. For everyone else, it serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides beneath a layer of tarnish. Sometimes it waits quietly in a forgotten drawer. And sometimes it looks exactly like a penny. As the rare coin market continues evolving, Interest in hidden treasures remains stronger than ever. More collectors are examining their change. More families are rediscovering inherited collections. More auction records are capturing public attention. The next great discovery could happen anywhere. It could happen in a small town. It could happen at a flea market. It could happen during a weekend clean-up, or it could happen the next time you empty your pockets onto a table. Because somewhere out there, another overlooked coin is waiting to be recognized for what it truly is. And that possibility is exactly what keeps collectors searching. If you found this story fascinating, make sure you're paying close attention to every coin that crosses your path. The difference between a common penny and an extraordinary rarity often comes down to details measured in fractions of a millimeter. In our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin that has stunned collectors, triggered intense bidding wars, and left experts scrambling to explain how such a valuable treasure remained hidden for so long. Trust me, if you think the 1964 Lincoln cent story is unbelievable, wait until you see what happens when a seemingly ordinary coin becomes one of the most sought-after discoveries in modern numismatics. What if the next coin you pull from a dusty jar, an old coffee can, or the bottom of a forgotten drawer could be worth more than a luxury mansion? It sounds impossible. After all, most people see pennies as little more than spare change. They toss them into jars, leave them in cup holders, or spend them without a second thought. But hidden among billions of ordinary coins is one fascinating mystery that continues to fuel the dreams of collectors across America: the 1995 Lincoln cent. Every day, two very different people handle the exact same coin. The spender barely notices it. It disappears into a cash register within seconds. The collector pauses, studies the details, and recognizes something unusual. Years later, that simple decision can separate a missed opportunity from a life-changing discovery. The frightening truth is that valuable coins are often lost forever because people never take the time to look. They pass through countless hands unnoticed. They get spent, damaged, or discarded. Meanwhile, a select group of collectors quietly search through pocket change, bank rolls, and inherited collections, hoping to uncover hidden wealth disguised as ordinary currency. Among modern Lincoln cents, the 1995 issue has become one of the most discussed coins in collector circles. Not because every example is valuable, but because a handful of extraordinary specimens possess characteristics that have transformed them into legends of the numismatic world. Before we go any further, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you actually examined the pennies sitting in your home right now? Not counted them, not spent them, actually examined them. If you have a coin jar nearby, you may want to remember where it is, because the story you're about to hear has inspired thousands of people to search through their spare change with a magnifying glass. The year was 1995. America was entering a new era of technological growth. The internet was beginning to reshape communication. The economy was expanding. Across the country, millions of transactions took place every day, and the United States Mint worked tirelessly to produce the coins needed for circulation. Among those coins was the 1995 Lincoln cent. At first glance, it appeared completely ordinary. It featured Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait, a design Americans had recognized for generations. Billions of cents circulated through banks, businesses, and households. Most were destined to live unremarkable lives in pockets and cash registers. But something unusual happened during production. And that unusual event would eventually make certain examples among the most sought-after modern pennies ever discovered. Collectors today know the 1995 Lincoln cent primarily because of one famous characteristic: dramatic doubling visible on key design elements. This variety became one of the most recognizable modern-era coins in American numismatics. When viewed under magnification, the doubling appears prominently on inscriptions, creating a visual effect that immediately captures attention. Unlike minor forms of doubling that require specialized equipment to detect, this variety can often be identified by careful observation. The result is a coin that appears ordinary to the casual observer but extraordinary to someone who knows what to look for. That difference in knowledge creates opportunity, and opportunity creates excitement. Attention reset. Imagine reaching into a jar containing hundreds of pennies and discovering that one of them might be worth more than your monthly mortgage payment. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet stories like that are exactly why collectors remain obsessed with searching through circulation. The most fascinating aspect of the 1995 Lincoln cent is how easily it can hide in plain sight. Unlike ancient treasures buried underground or rare artifacts locked away in museums, these coins entered everyday commerce. They bought groceries, they paid for gas, they sat inside cash drawers. Many still do. Some remain undiscovered because the average person never examines the details closely enough. Others have spent decades quietly moving through circulation, escaping detection again and again. In the coin collecting community, certain elusive pieces earn a special reputation. They become what many collectors call market ghosts. A market ghost is a coin that seems to appear only occasionally despite years of searching. Everyone knows it exists. Everyone wants to find one, yet relatively few examples emerge compared to the enormous number of collectors pursuing them. The 1995 double die variety developed precisely that reputation. Every time another premium quality example surfaces, excitement spreads rapidly throughout the hobby. But rarity alone does not create extraordinary value. Condition changes everything. Imagine two identical rare coins. One spent years waddling around in pockets, collecting scratches and wear. The other remained protected, preserving its original surfaces and sharp details. Which coin do you think collectors will fight over? The answer is obvious. The highest premiums are almost always reserved for the finest surviving examples. Coins with exceptional preservation become time capsules. They preserve the exact appearance they possessed when they left the mint decades earlier. Finding a rare variety is exciting. Finding a rare variety in elite condition is something entirely different. That combination transforms a collectible into a prize, and prizes attract competition. Attention reset. Here's a quick challenge. The next time you receive change from a store, don't put it away immediately. Spend 10 seconds looking at it. 10 seconds. That's all. Most people spend more time deciding what to watch on television than they do examining objects that pass through their hands every day. Yet history has shown that hidden treasures often reveal themselves only to those willing to pay attention. Now let's talk about the technical side that makes this coin so fascinating. Minting errors occur when something unusual happens during the coin production process. In some cases, dies become damaged. In others, alignment problems create visual abnormalities. Occasionally, manufacturing variations result in dramatic design differences that collectors can identify and catalog. The most famous examples become recognized varieties. Once that happens, demand often increases dramatically. Collectors begin searching aggressively. Auction houses take notice. Price guides update valuations. And suddenly a coin that once circulated unnoticed becomes the focus of national attention. The 1995 double die cent followed exactly this path. Its distinctive appearance made it easier to identify than many subtle varieties. As awareness spread, collector demand expanded. Yet demand has never eliminated scarcity, especially when it comes to superior examples. The finest known specimens continue attracting attention because collectors understand a simple reality: there may never be enough elite examples to satisfy everyone who wants one. That imbalance fuels competition. Competition fuels prices, and prices fuel headlines. Attention reset. Have you ever wondered how many valuable coins have accidentally been spent over the years? Think about it. Someone finds a penny. They assume it's worth 1 cent. They spend it. The coin disappears. What if it wasn't ordinary? What if it possessed characteristics collectors would have paid thousands for? That possibility creates one of the strongest emotional forces in collecting: fear of missing out. Nobody wants to discover that they unknowingly spent a valuable coin. Nobody wants to learn that hidden wealth slipped through their fingers because they failed to look closely. And that's exactly why interest in error coins continues growing year after year. Now let's discuss the numbers that capture everyone's imagination. Stories of extraordinary coin sales have transformed modern collecting into something larger than a hobby. It has become a treasure hunt. Across the country, collectors monitor auctions, estate sales, and dealer inventories searching for the next great opportunity. When exceptional coins appear, bidding can become intense. Rare varieties, elite grades, and unique characteristics often create the perfect conditions for remarkable results. As market enthusiasm grows, collectors become increasingly willing to compete for the finest examples available. This brings us to the figure that sparks endless curiosity: the possibility of a coin reaching values approaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. While such extraordinary prices represent the extreme upper edge of the collectible market and depend on exceptional rarity, condition, and demand, the very existence of those headline-grabbing sales continues to inspire collectors nationwide. The dream is simple: find something overlooked, recognize its significance, preserve it, and watch the market discover its true value. That dream keeps collectors searching through coin jars, bank rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten boxes. Every discovery reinforces the belief that another treasure may still be waiting somewhere, perhaps in a desk drawer, perhaps in an attic, perhaps in a collection untouched for decades, or perhaps sitting quietly among a handful of ordinary-looking pennies. The remarkable thing about coin collecting is that it rewards curiosity. The more you learn, the more opportunities you can recognize. Knowledge becomes an advantage, details become valuable, and ordinary objects become potential discoveries. The 1995 Lincoln cent perfectly represents that idea. To most people, it's just another penny. To informed collectors, it may represent history, rarity, and opportunity. Its story reminds us that value often hides where few people bother to look, and in a world where everyone searches for shortcuts to wealth, sometimes the most fascinating opportunities are already in our possession. The market for collectible coins continues evolving. New collectors enter the hobby every year. Auction records generate headlines. Interest in tangible assets remains strong. As awareness increases, the hunt for overlooked rarities becomes even more competitive. That means every undiscovered example becomes more important. Every forgotten collection becomes more intriguing. Every coin jar becomes a potential treasure chest. So before you dismiss the penny sitting around your home, take another look. Examine the dates. Study the details. Pay attention to the unusual, because the difference between ordinary change and extraordinary value often comes down to a tiny detail that most people never notice. And somewhere out there, another remarkable coin is waiting for someone to recognize its true significance. If this story surprised you, make sure you stay tuned, because in our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin whose mysterious origins, astonishing scarcity, and explosive auction history have left collectors scrambling to find examples before they disappear forever. And trust me, the next coin may be even more unbelievable than the legendary 1995 Lincoln cent.